Good morning, Gloucester. It is GloucesterCast 298, 2 away from the big 300.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's exciting.
It is exciting.
Wow.
Second day of fall.
Yes.
Everybody thinks fall starts September 1st, but really starts September 22nd.
Right, and I really pretend that it doesn't start till the end of October, until Halloween.
Me too.
Flip-flops until you can't wear flip-flops.
No
until
tights.
your toes are frozen.
No tights.
No tights.
No tights. Still self-tanning.
There you go, right? Chris McCarthy is with us today.
Good morning.
Fresh from D.C.
Yes.
Heidi Dallin is here. We're going to have a couple cast members, maybe, and the new interim managing director at the Gloucester Stage.
Yep, and the education apprentice, my education apprentice.
And that person, too. And Kim Smith is with us.
Good morning, Gloucester.
She won't be with us next week.
Right. No wedding, my cousin's wedding in Pennsylvania. I'm very excited to go to. But I'll miss you.
No, you won't. You don't care. You don't care. We were just talking before when we were assimilating our show notes about do you have a steadfast rule on when you will turn the heat on for the first time in the fall? Do any of you guys have a steadfast rule?
I do.
What's your steadfast rule?
My steadfast rule is you don't turn it on until at least October 1st, hopefully October 15th.
Yeah.
You try to go as long as you can.
Yeah.
You know, because once that heat comes on, then you know
Right.
fall and winter
is on the
are
way.
upon us.
Well, my husband, who I adore, he is a writer, so he's like freezing at midnight. You know what I mean? Because he's like sitting there at a desk typing away, and so he did turn the heat on last night. However, my office was I was uploading footage, so I had my air conditioner on in the office. So I came downstairs. My computer was still hot. The heat was on, and the air conditioner was blaring away in my office. So I'm going to encourage him to get a little space heater.
So you had the battling between the heater and the air conditioning at the same, fighting each other.
Right, all night long
That
in my
is
office.
tremendous. I love that.
No, I don't love
Heidi,
that.
do you have a
It's like,
steadfast
how much
rule?
did
I
that
would
cost?
say as late as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have, I would never think of putting it on now. And see, living in the condo, we're in the middle. So...
You're pretty good insulation. then.
So today, so it was like today, when I opened the door, I'm like, oh, it's chilly, I need a jacket.
Yeah.
I was so warm inside.
Right.
So that's when when it was
That's smart,
100
Heidi.
degrees and humid, not as exciting, but it's great as long as we can wait as possible.
I have my rule generally in the past is I like to go to October, but I don't have a steadfast rule. This was my thought. The middle of last week or one day we had a little bit of cool. It really wasn't that cool, but it might have been like low 60s. But in my house, it's been so humid that a lot. I have like this buckling issue with my floor, and I was just in my head. I kind of floated the idea to Kate, like, why don't we put on the pellet stove just to take the dampness out of the room?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And she's like, nah, let's not.
No, that is a good idea actually, because we never had a moisture problem in our basement because we had an old we had a huge old coal burning furnace that had been converted to an oil burner, but it was very inefficient, so it kind of heated up the basement.
Right.
So as soon as we got our new furnace, which was 10 times more efficient, we started to have a moisture problem.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It happens.
Yeah, so it would, especially for floor buckling, I would give it a try.
I know. Yeah. Then, but literally like 3 hours later, it was like hot in the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, with this, fall, you typically means,
Cooler, drier weather, which
more
I'm
air circulation.
I like for work because this is our busiest time of year now,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the cool, dry days.
Oh
Yeah.
I
This
think
time.
you should get Tom a onesie.
A snuggle or
You know what?
Snuggie.
No, the onesie, you can...
If you have to.
Oh yeah, you can still poop in the onesie, right?
If you have to type in work, for hours at a desk, and you have a.
Hold it, we have a visitor.
Oh my gosh.
We
Who's that?
He has arrived.
That's loud. He's doing that on purpose, isn't he?
Mike Coder has arrived.
Mike Coder.
Is he coming up?
That's his move. He's coming up. Yeah. So that's it. When he gets within like about maybe 50 yards of my house, he rolls all his windows down and he cranks up like some song, usually either from the 80s or one of the classics,
I can still hear it
and he
thumping.
pulls it through.
You must have it on so loud.
He
All the
is.
windows are closed. So you
He
can
is a
still
piece
hear
of
it.
work. Yeah. He is a piece of work. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to hear a little bit from Mike when he gets upstairs here. Last night we went to Passports for dinner. And I want to apologize to the wait staff.
Okay.
Being a little loud. And
On
I
the
wasn't
loose.
even there.
Yeah.
I wasn't even there, Joe.
I know. Normally,
If
we have
I
to
was
apologize
there-
for you. It would have been a real shit show. It would have been a real
I
shit show.
saw Eric on the street last night. He was standing right next to St. Peter's Club, near St. Peter's in Machaca.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was so packed at Machaca.
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, Machaca.
Machaca. It was packed there when I went by, which was awesome
He's
to
the
see.
one.
Yeah.
Good morning, Michael.
Morning, savages. I know you're from the
morning.
gym, right? You go to the Mac?
No,
You don't?
no,
You have a sister then.
no,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
it.
I'm an only
Oh,
child.
Michael.
Heidi, how are you?
Yes,
Mike,
Hi,
Mike,
Michael.
you're
Nice to
interrupting
meet
the
you. Hi, good
podcast,
to
Mike.
That's all right, Mike.
Mike, we're on
How you
the
doing,
podcast.
brother?
Hey,
Nice to see you.
This guy just walks in,
Mike Coder, come in.
just like,
Legend. He's got his
Yeah, I'm
Beats
here.
Beats by Dre headphones on.
So
His
you
ears
have your
open.
music on full blast with the headphones on?
I just put him on just to get to do that song.
It's the move. That's his
And I was
move.
copying Joey with his headphones.
There you go.
Yeah.
He didn't
wanna
want.
be
He
just
didn't want me to
like
feel
him,
left
yeah.
out. So, Mike, how would you rate the dinner last night? What did you order at
I had
Passports
the
last night?
tenderloin and scallops. It was really good. And the
Yeah.
wine was exceptional. The
Trilogy.
trilogy, yeah. really good
Fantastic.
wine.
Yeah.
And he does a good job with, like, I think the way his belief system, and I'm not speaking for him, but my opinion is he wants to move wine. So his markup on wine is, like,
Very reasonable.
very reasonable. I think
Yeah.
he does, like, $25 a bottle. So...
Are you?
Even on expensive bottles,
Yeah.
he doesn't like.
If it was a $20 bottle, it'd be $45. If it was a $300 bottle, it'd be $3.25.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you gonna? Have you been to any of his wine dinners?
No,
No, you're gonna
No,
have.
but
You
we
have
are.
to go.
we have to
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
we're
they
so
look
close to
outstanding. I saw the menu
Yeah.
for the one that was this past Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the 20th. Yeah.
The menu looked outstanding.
Yeah, it's a great value.
And I was there 2 weeks prior, 2 weeks ago, and I brought my in-laws there, and it was outstanding. They raved about it.
Oh, great.
So it's I think it's a hidden gem.
Well,
I know
for out of towners, for you to say that, you just totally exposed yourself as someone that just moved here.
There was
I'm a
packed.
newbie.
How many people were in there last
I'm a
night? Right?
newbie.
It was packed. He just
people
keeps.
in there?
He continues to execute, and that place is just a machine, you know. And they come up with. I think a big part of what makes his place successful is everything is fresh. All his ingredients are fresh. He goes to the market. He picks out his stuff, but the menu is not stale. He constantly is reinventing that menu, and it's
That
interesting.
meal last night was it $26?
Right, and in Boston that was a $48 meal entree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you have last night?
Tenderloin, which was probably a 6-ounce cut, and scallops, 3 scallops. It was that would be like a $75 meal in
Oh,
Boston.
that sounds super.
Wow.
Joey hasn't been in Boston in 20 years, but
He hasn't
Yeah,
been,
I don't
he hasn't
go
been
anymore.
over the bridge in 20 years.
I get aggravated with the parking situation in Boston. There used to be places you could park. I don't even mind paying for parking, but like it's like outrageous now to park in Boston.
Yeah.
The traffic is so intense. Like it used to be.
valet $10.
Like I used to. Yeah.
What mean?
When you valet,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Just pull up a front check.
I have
They
I have
invented it
become
about-
everything that I criticized my father about growing up. I honestly, my father would never take us into Boston. Although I do take my children in for Red Sox, Celtic, games and stuff like that. Other
lucky to
than
get
that,
you past East Gloucester, let alone West Gloucester or Essex.
I am
yeah,
so
you-
content in my
You
little
have-
slice of heaven.
You have
Didn't know
everything
there
you
was a
need
world
right
out
here.
there.
That's what my great grandfather used to say.
That's the way I feel. I really feel
That's
that way.
what
Like we have
Grandpa
so many
Johnny
great
said, yeah.
restaurants, Like when it slows down, and the thing is, I have to go to bed early this time of year,
Right.
just to be able to live.
To survive,
I have to
right?
survive.
Yeah.
But in the winter, I broaden my horizons and I travel and we go into town and stuff like that. But like this time of year, if I get out of work at 6, shower, go drive into Boston at 8, and get home to get up for work at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
it's just not sustainable.
That's not.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right,
No.
and it's not worth it. You'd rather spend time
Yeah.
with Kate, with your kids, than driving around with them,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're
You
lucky
know.
here, so we got all
Well,
these awesome
that's what
places.
Grant
And plus,
John
the
used
world's
to say.
coming this way.
Huh?
Yeah.
The world is coming this way. People are coming here.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Beauport's a great example of that, right?
Yeah.
The Beauport is what the Beauport was the final, like the planting of the flag in the moon. Like that, I think that legitimized everything and totally discredited all the anti people that didn't want anything to happen here for generations. That and Market Basket. How many people fought Market Basket? All those idiots that fought Market Basket.
Can I ask who Grampy Jodbury was? Is that who the fish pier is named after?
Yes. My
Oh.
great-grandfather, Everett Jodry,
Oh.
who was a barber
Mhm.
and had a shop on Duncan Street, and all the fishermen were his clients. And their shaving mugs were getting dusty because they couldn't unload in Gloucester because there was no fish pier. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Oh wow.
And so they used to come, they'd be like, yeah, Everett, I can't come home and see my family. They unload in Boston, go right back out. They do. And so they were building a new fish pier in Boston. And Grampy was like, why Boston? We need it in Gloucester.
Right.
This is where the fishermen are. They need to be able to come home. So he started on a campaign to bring the fish pier to Gloucester.
Tremendous.
And he he didn't get any gain out of it. The FBI came down to investigate him because they figured he was getting a kickback because he
Wow.
worked so
Really?
hard.
Wow.
And they were like, you were the most spotless man. Like, he was just
Wow.
Just who he
for
was.
the community. And it ended, they took the Tebow, the Gertrude Tebow, the schooner, to Washington, to the White House to get the final money. They met Eleanor Roosevelt. She came aboard.
Wow.
And then the next night they had dinner at the White House. They came home with the final money. It was during the Depression, so it was a huge
That's huge.
boom
Wow.
Yeah.
to Gloucester because there were all the jobs building the pier. And then we had
But-
Fish Pier in Gloucester.
But listen, and then after the Depression and after World War II, Gloucester fed Europe.
Yeah.
So where was if we didn't have that fish pier, would that
Great
have
point.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
that
when
story is told in the book.
Well, when
Gloucester
Eleanor-
No More.
Yeah,
When
that's
Eleanor
told in
Roosevelt-
in
Island No More.
Ron
Right,
Gilson's
pictures
book.
of
Yeah.
when Eleanor Roosevelt
Pictures
came
of that
aboard,
book.
they gave her a big haddock and said, "Here, from our Gloucester fishermen to you." And she said, "What am I going to do with this? This is huge. How am I going to?" And there's like, share it with the neighbors. That's what we do in Gloucester.
Oh wow.
Oh,
And,
that's a good
um,
story. That's
yeah.
a great story.
Yeah, so Grampy, and then he lived his final years. He and my great grandmother had an apartment at Stage Fort Apartments, right on the boulevard. And my earliest memories, like from when I could walk, probably when I couldn't walk, he took me to. We would walk up and down the boulevard. Remember, there was the guy who used to take pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
I have like tons of pictures. Like
Oh,
every
that's
year, Grampy would take me, and he would always walk the boulevard. He loved ending his life being able to look out the windows and seeing the fishing boats
That's
come in
great.
and out. It made him
I'd
so
love-
happy.
I'd love to see some old photos of what the boulevard looked like back then. That would be so interesting. That used to be more tree lined, didn't it?
There's been great posts on Good Morning Gloucester.
Yeah.
I think Catherine has done some really
Yeah.
good posts
Yeah.
of taking photos and superimposing images right
Before
below
and
the
after.
before and after.
I bet she would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got
I bet
some
she
great
would love
ones.
To see those photos too.
Yeah, I'll have to look. We have everything because when they did the dedication, we had.
Oh wow.
But yeah, and he used to say, "I don't understand why people, travel. They have to get away and they have to go." He said, "People spend so much money to come to Gloucester. It's a beautiful." He said, "I have everything I could ever want here."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I could see that in the summer. In the middle of the winter, I want to get the fuck out. I want to go someplace warm.
Grampy
Really
was
want to go someplace
tougher,
warm.
you know. So
Kay and I were trying to figure out our honeymoon, where we're going to go on our honeymoon, and we don't really have a ton of time. We're gonna, I don't know if we have. We're gonna have like between 7 and 9 days. I think maximum would
I
be
thought you
9.
were taking the kids to.
Yeah, but that's not our honeymoon.
Okay.
That's.
Family trip. Okay. Yeah. I thought
Does it
for
even
some-
think like? Is there
No.
any kind of sexuality? No. You think about a honeymoon. You think about the trip
I
with
know,
the
but
kids.
For some reason, I thought you told me you were going.
well, it's
were
because
taking
you
the
love
kids
your
on-
children all so
I
much.
do love
You
my
want to
children.
share them.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you told me that you were taking.
Joe, all you need
We're
is-
taking them
all you
not for
need
a
is
honeymoon.
one
We're
day.
taking them for a trip. Like
It's
we're gonna.
15 minutes.
Anyway.
Family trip. Yeah.
But so my this is my thing. May is the last time I can get away.
okay.
I like going someplace warm and tropical.
Yeah.
But Kate is like like for her work.
Right. She.
They're all beach vacations. For her.
Right.
Everything's
Yeah.
a beach. But they're working trips.
Right.
Working trips in quotation marks. So she's working when she's there. Remember that. But so we're thinking about going to Europe, but I don't
It's
think
not a
it's
lot
gonna.
of time,
I don't
though.
think it's right. So,
That's
Go to
a
wine
whole-
country.
but it's
Now?
May. It's not gonna be
Joe, we'll
warm.
plan it for you because we're coming, and we'll put it all
Yeah,
together.
I like that. So we're recently kind of considering Spain, Portugal, Spain,
The Azores.
not the Azores,
Greece.
Porto and the south coast. Not Porto. There's some beautiful Caxias, or something like that in Portugal. It's a beach
People
town.
don't realize to get to Spain or some of those European countries, it's only 6 hours.
Right,
I mean,
Spain
it's almost
is.
like flying.
Flying to California.
It's 8 to Italy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
six
so
to
even
six to Spain is
Ireland.
doable.
I mean,
Yeah.
an Irish guy like yourself should
no
consider
desire to
Ireland.
go to Ireland.
No,
No, none.
the chicken palm over there is
Well, good
unbelievable.
weather.
And the Chinese food.
And the Chinese food.
The
too.
Chinese
No
food.
desire to go to Ireland.
Dynamite.
I want to go top. Okay, I'm gonna go around. Everybody can give the
God.
top three bucket list destinations. Greek islands,
Yeah.
back to Italy, maybe Rome North instead of Rome South,
Oh, I'm just the opposite.
and France. I'd like to go to south of France.
South of France.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. I would agree. Greece, southern Italy, and then Russia.
Russia,
Russia,
really
yeah.
interesting.
You've been to
Why Russia? Prague?
No kidding.
You know, get to do
I-
some
I
oil
would-
deals.
No, I wouldn't want to go to Russia. Iceland.
Iceland, Reykjavik is a short
Reykjavik.
flight.
I want to sit in one of
I've
those
been
hot
there.
baths.
I've been there.
You
Short
sit-
flight. They're really pushing it. They're
Yeah.
really pushing that travel.
Yeah.
People fly. You can fly there for like next to nothing.
How about Israel? Israel is.
You see the commercials lately?
Yeah. I'm like, if Israel's like that, I'm going.
I got a feeling it's not like that.
No.
I got a feeling it's nothing like
No,
that.
exactly.
I got a feeling like it is such the most bullshit marketing campaign you're ever gonna. The truth in advertising not happening here.
Yeah.
I've seen
What you
this
can't
thing.
hear are the missiles flying over your head.
Yeah.
When that
Maybe
whatever.
music.
some parts of Israel are
Yeah.
like
No, I
that.
know.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I'm not thinking it's as cosmopolitan and chic. Maybe in what is it? What's Dubai? Maybe
Dubai.
Mike, go top three.
So somewhere on the Amazon River, like a
Do you have the app,
Costa Rica.
Amazon app?
What is that? What you got? You got
Australia.
Australia, yeah, too far though.
No, I'd like to do that.
And probably Thailand, Mike, right?
No, I went to Thailand last year.
Brazil or
Koh
Thailand.
Samui.
Where?
I went to Koh Samui last year off the coast of Thailand. It was great.
Did it?
And Alaska also.
Yeah.
Alaska.
I like,
Okay, there's your top
something
three.
adventurous.
Interesting.
Adventurous.
Outdoor.
Heidi, go.
It's hard. Australia.
Yeah.
Go with Mike.
Yeah.
Do the Australian men accents turn you on?
Aborigines. The Aborigines.
No, well, honestly, one of the reasons I had an Australian boyfriend, and I was
Oh.
supposed to go over there with him, and I didn't go.
Oh,
You can file
And
missing persons report.
so now I feel like
you missed out.
that I missed out, and I think it's beautiful. And I love all their theater scene is amazing and all of that.
Good morning.
So, good morning. Good morning.
How you guys doing?
How we doing this morning?
Hey.
Good.
Hey.
I'm Chris.
James.
Hi,
Pleasure
James.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Michael, nice to meet you. James, nice to meet you.
Kim.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, I'm Chris.
Hi, James. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Nice to see you.
This is the cast of the Agitators.
Yes.
We have 100%.
100%. Wow.
Attendance of cast.
That's
and
great.
this is Laurel, the
Hi,
education.
Laurel.
Hello.
Very nice to meet you. Guys, sit down. We'll just have a conversation about top 3 destinations that you'd like to go on vacation. And Heidi was just finishing up. Go ahead.
So Australia, Greece, I would say, and France.
And France. So we get 2 overlapping.
Let's see. The first place would be the mountains of central Mexico around the time of the Day of the Dead, and along the coast of Mexico City.
Nice.
I would love to do that.
Sounds like you researched this.
And then I would love to go to New Zealand and Hawaii.
Oh, yeah,
I would do
New
that
Zealand.
I would do that all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, this thing that-
southern Italy. Those are my 3 top choices.
Amalfi Coast, when you say southern Italy or Sicily?
All.
Yeah.
Like, from the Amalfi Coast down. The whole
Yeah.
thing.
I was just watching on YouTube this morning after I got my paperwork done. 5:00 this morning, I was watching a walking tour of Amalfi and a walking tour of Positano, 2 places I had been, and it just brought back how
maybe you should go to
beautiful the place it is.
Maybe you should go to that place that Liv went to. That really remote place in Italy where it's on the coast, but you have to take a boat to it and stuff like that.
Not
It would
Capri,
be-
right?
No, it wasn't. I'll find out the
Good
name.
morning.
I'll find out the name for you.
Okay,
It's
great.
really,
All
it's
right.
very
There you
beautiful
go.
and remote.
There you go.
There's no cars. You have to walk over. You just walk everywhere. And beautiful
Fantastic.
beaches and.
I just want to note, I rearranged the top post on the blog that's always sticky there.
Oh,
I
okay.
took out the calendar feature.
Right.
Some people were complaining that it just kind of was
Well, on your
on your phone when you're
Right.
scrolling, it would kind of be like a grease stain, and then and I also took out all the buttons, and I put the buttons at the very top of the blog
Oh, smart.
to get to different pages on the
Oh,
blog.
I can't wait to see it.
Just try to streamline it, and I put a couple of different subscribe buttons just to freshen it up a little bit and
Nice.
streamline it.
Nice. Looking forward to seeing that.
I want to say happy birthday to Anna Eves and Vicky Van Ness. It was their birthday a couple of days ago.
Happy birthday, lady.
Happy birthday.
And I want to do the restaurant rundown. We had dinner at Passports last night. I had the steak and parve. It was fantastic. Tano, 3 years ago. It's hard to believe that Tano
It was 3 years
three
ago?
years ago,
Holy cannoli, wow.
which is amazing that they started the project.
Wow.
Feather Wedge Jazz Brunch is continuing. Mile Marker $5 Burger Thursdays, and we have the weekly specials at Trio and the Azorian on the blog as well.
Can I mention Nicole Duckworth's Crocum Boucher?
Yes,
Yes.
mention that.
So she made this beautiful dessert. She was making a mini version of it to celebrate Matt and John's wedding. Because she made a huge version of it for their actual wedding. So it was these beautiful cream puffs filled with cream puff filling, stacked in a pyramid, and then you take caramel and you slowly drizzle that all around, and then you make like a nest of caramel up above it. It was magnificent, and it created quite a stir on Facebook. So, but that's, and I think, I don't want to speak out of turn, but then I noticed she made some for another really sweet couple that was celebrating their wedding anniversary. So maybe she might make it for you if you call. Nicole does do special order desserts. If
Oh,
you
I didn't know
want
that.
it. Yes.
Oh.
Good to know.
Yes,
The chef and owner of Zeke's, Mike DeCoste, was injured in a fire last Sunday, and I think they have a fundraiser for him. And I think what the number that they originally wanted, I think it's far surpassed. But if you wanted to donate, there's a link, isn't there?
Yeah,
He's going to be in the hospital for like a month or something.
Yeah, it burns.
He had third degree.
Yeah,
Third degree
over
goes,
a lot of his body.
Third degree goes way through all the layers of skin, but it didn't affect his lungs. So that's the good part, right?
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna think
really
about
bad.
Oh, that spray.
That spray. I asked my son. Like,
So do you know exactly what happened?
Well, they said it was a cooking spray.
Cooking
It
oil
exploded.
spray.
It was
Yeah,
close
like
to the
Pam.
flame.
It was
close to the
it
stove.
had gotten it had heated up like it was.
Right, it was too
just-
close to a burner or something and
Yeah,
exploded?
well, it heated up, so I don't know because like I asked my son because he's a chef where you keep your
Yeah.
cooking oil,
Yeah.
and he was like, oh,
Away.
away,
Away,
mom,
yeah.
don't worry, away. So, but why do you even have to use that?
Hey,
really?
Oh, it's
how's it
Pam,
go, Bob?
I think.
I know.
Nice to see you.
in
Bob
today's
Walsh
world-
is here.
Bob Walsh, Chris Griffith.
Chris.
Griffith.
No, hey, wait, we have to find out exactly. Is it Griffith or Griffiths with an
Just
S?
do it a TH. Just
TH.
one. There's just one in the
All
him.
right.
That's awesome. How's it going?
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, missed you.
Thanks for coming in.
That one's not broken. That chair is broken over there.
One other thing I wanted to mention: you can get your tickets for the $25,000 game for the at the chamber. If you get tickets, you get a chance to like a $10,000 prize, a couple, like a $5,000 prize, a bunch of $1,000 prizes. It's a raffle, and it comes with 2 tickets for a meal too, so it's a good deal. And that's Cape Ann Chamber can get you the tickets.
It's a meals.
They have a meal, so they have this drawing. It's at the Gloucester House,
Oh, okay.
and it is at the Gloucester House, right? The $25,000 game. I mean,
I
make
do
sure.
not know that.
I just
I
want to
don't
make
know
sure.
anything about that.
Is that the chamber?
Yeah, usually it's at Lenny's place, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Tickets are still available for they only sell like 100 tickets or something, and there is on October 4th the Gloucester House restaurant from 5 to 7. They do the drawings and they have a dinner included with it. $25,000 game also includes a 50-50 raffle. The total prize money that's given out is $25,000, and the grand prize is $10,000, which that's a lot of money. So, people they're fun to go to and always fun to see who wins. Jimmy, Pat, Jimmy, and I, Pat Dalpiaz and Jimmy Dalpiaz and I split a ticket.
Oh,
We kind of that's our new thing.
Okay.
They go because I'm always working. I don't get to go.
Right, you
They
guys-
eat the meal, and
Nice.
we have a chance. We have a chance. The cast of The Agitators is here.
100% of the cast. First time in podcast history we've had 100% of the cast here.
The odds were greatly increased. Why?
Two members of
Two
the cast.
cast members. 2 cast members. Welcome. Both podcast versions?
Yes, both virgins. Yeah,
Thanks for
virgins.
coming.
Yeah, we have a lot of virgins. We have a lot of virgins in the house today.
Is
Yeah.
it,
Laurel, my apprentice from New Jersey,
Hi, Laurel.
Hi.
how long is she going to be your apprentice for?
till mid-December, right after Holiday Delights. I'm not letting her leave.
So where do you go to school?
I went to school in Pennsylvania at Muhlenberg College.
And how did you get this job?
Somebody, I don't remember who sent me the application.
And you applied?
I applied, and Heidi chose me.
Yes,
So.
it was a big. I had like over 20 applicants for the education apprentice position, and so I had a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
And Laurel was the first to interview, and she was great.
The cream rose.
Yes, yes.
Laurel, what part of New Jersey are you from?
Hunterdon County.
Well, where is that? Like on the coast or northeast?
Western New Jersey, like somewhere near where Central Jersey / North Jersey is,
Okay.
like right.
Is it north of Trenton?
Yes,
So
Morristown?
my mom's family
it's
is
just
also
south of Morristown.
Bradley Beach area along the Jersey Shore.
And
Okay.
My
her
mom's
grandparents live in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Oh,
Rye Beach.
Well, that's critical information for our podcast listeners.
Yes.
I don't know what they would do without that
Exactly.
little tidbit.
Exactly. Well, you're no.
Thank God.
It'll increase
We can just stop everything right now because we now know where your education apprentice grandparents live. Let's just continue on this vein. Hey, where do your grandparents live?
The U.S.
Where do your grandparents live?
The U.S. equestrian team trains in Jersey outside of Chester.
No, that's fantastic. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
What are some of your objectives that you came in with, and what do you hope to accomplish? Do you have any say over what you do, or do you just get assignments that you have to carry out?
Heidi gives me like projects, but there's a lot of wiggle room within those projects. Like there were over the summer playtime stories. There was like a children's hour shows Saturday mornings. So that's what I was doing. I was doing children's stories. The actors were students of Heidi's. But like I chose the stories we did.
Right. So
She adapted the stories.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
She came up with the crafts each week.
So you're being artistically challenged.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just drudge. Because so here's the thing. If I've always found with the blog, if someone tells me to cover something, even though I may be really interested in the subject matter, but when someone tells me I have to cover it a certain way, I really lose interest in it.
Yeah.
But when I have input over which way I want to cover it or something like that, I am way more excited about carrying out the task.
Right. I have to say, I tried to go many times to Playtime Stories this summer with my granddaughter, but she would invariably fall asleep. But I'd get her in the stroller, and about 2 minutes
Not in the Playtime Story, before you got there.
Before we got there.
Yeah. In the stroller, and out she'd be like.
You have to gotta work on that nap time for next summer. That's all I have to
next
say.
summer she'll be a little bit older.
Kate and I were taking our walk, our loop, and we just happened. Larry and Sarah Oakes were hanging out with their monstrous dog that should be a horse.
And their monstrous son, who was a giant.
And their monstrous
who's
son.
one of our actors. Yeah.
And the kids, it was right when the Playtime Stories was getting out, and there was just a ton of kids and parents coming out of this thing. What a great way to spend a morning with your
It's
kids.
a good time period. It's an hour, and Laurel did a great job. She adapted the stories.
I love that you did the whole section on Virginia Lee Burton. That was awesome. Yeah.
Did you know anything about Virginia Lee Burton before you did that section?
I had read Katie and the Big Snow before, but I didn't know who Virginia Lee Burton was.
Do they still have the exhibit at Cape Air Museum?
They always have it there.
Did you go to Cape Air Museum?
No.
You ought to go.
Oh yeah.
Everybody here, if you haven't been to Cape Air Museum, it is it's like a really good museum, totally worthwhile.
Yeah.
Like I always say, like when people come to our town and they say, what should we do? Top three, I would say. I always say the Lannon. If it's nice, go out on the Lannon.
Right.
But in the top three, definitely Cape Air Museum.
And Gloucester Stage.
Of
Of course. I know you were going to come to that. So, I knew you were going to get to that. But, Laurel she had a project she wanted to do. We would, she comes to me. That's how the Young Playwrights Festival started last year. Was something that the apprentice, the education apprentice and the marketing apprentice and the production apprentice were really excited about, and was artistically was something that they really wanted to do. And so it was just like, okay, let's do it. And this year, that's something that Laurel's in charge of. And we waited till you came to do the theme too, right?
Right.
Yeah, because the Young Playwrights Festival has a theme to give the kids kind of a guideline of what the play should be about, and Laurel picked it. Laurel decided on it.
There you go.
What is the theme this year?
Facing your fears.
Oh, great. Very interesting.
The Agitators. This is appropriate. There's a recurring theme with the plays that are presented to us. Very appropriate for the times.
For the times. Yeah.
I'm guessing that's by design. We have two of the actors. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I am James Milord, and I play Frederick Douglass.
And I'm Sarah Bedard, and I play Susan B. Anthony.
And who wants to speak to the premise behind the Agitators?
I guess I will. So, The Agitators sort of explores this relationship between Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony. They knew each other for most of their adult lives, and they had an enduring friendship that faced a whole lot of challenges because they were facing the challenges of the time that they were living in. and sort of as the pioneers of what they were fighting for, figuring out what that meant and what they were willing to sacrifice and what they weren't willing to sacrifice. And sometimes it meant sacrificing each other's needs, which is hard.
On the head.
Nailed it. Nailed it. So is as a 2-person play, what goes from scene to scene? Is it what is it, the backdrops, or what changes to give you different scenes, or is it all dialogue? How do you transition from, you said this is over a long time they've known each other.
Right.
So how do you make those
They
transitions?
age, too. Yeah.
And they age. So is it done in different acts that you come out in different periods, or how does that work?
Well, there's minimal set changes. We have minimal costume changes as well. Most of the growth is done through what we're doing physically, and we have a few like wig changes and whatnot that shows that we're getting a little older with the gray hairs and whatnot. But it's basically our physical work and what we're bringing to the table to kind of let the audience know that these people are growing over the span of 30 years.
So were they friends?
They were good friends. They were good friends and allies, and at
Both
times
fight-
frenemies.
both fighting for personal causes.
Absolutely.
And in what ways did these become conflicts?
Well, they both started off fighting to abolish slavery, which was the biggest issue in the country at the time. And then once that happened, Susan B. Anthony started fighting more for women's rights. Well, they were both fighting for universal suffrage,
Yes.
for everybody to be able to vote. And then with the 15th Amendment, black men were given the opportunity to vote, but it left women out. And Frederick Douglass was one of the people who said, we'll do this now because the women will be coming right after us. That didn't end up being true, but that's what his thought process was. And then many years later, 24 years later, when women were still fighting to get the vote, Susan B. Anthony didn't get to see women get the vote. She died before it happened. It happened 14 years after she died. But 24 years after black men got the vote, there was a big convention for women, and they decided to have it in Atlanta, and Atlanta decided to prohibit black women from attending the convention. So it went from universal to black men to white women. So each of them sacrificed other people to get closer to what they wanted.
Wow.
Gee,
What a time, huh? So they're in the play it is in the end. We can't talk about
can't
the
talk
end.
about that
You gotta come see it.
You gotta
Can't give away the ending.
come. You gotta come.
They both don't live though.
Yeah.
Just so you know. There's no survive at the end. Spoiler. But yeah.
It sounds like an excellent production, excellent story.
Well, these people like live in the history books forever as a child, right? Growing up, you read about it, but then to see them come alive as actual people, you see about these struggles. They're not just statues in history, right? They're real people that have real struggles and relationships and friendships and fights. It's wonderful to see that alive.
Well, it sounds like it really comes to life. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were friends.
I had no idea. I had no idea that there was any crossover there.
Right, and we're the second theater in the country ever to produce this, in the world to ever produce this play. It was produced in Rochester in November, and we are the second theater to ever produce it.
By Matt Smart.
Relatively new play.
Matt Smart, yes,
Wow.
yes.
When is it playing till?
October 7th.
October 7th?
So, and Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday through Saturday, 7:30, Saturday and Sunday, 2 p.m. And then after the Sunday show, next week will be a talk back.
The talk back.
So
I
if you
love
want to
that.
ask
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony and burning.
Oh, you're gonna be in. You're gonna be
They'll be ready.
Calm down.
In character. In character.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting?
They'll actually be James and Sarah. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's how you were selling it right there.
But they can channel them.
Things,
So,
yeah.
and the stage is super cool. It's something that I don't think we've ever done it before. The stage rotates,
Great.
Disc.
and it's a raked stage as well.
What does that mean?
A raked stage means that it goes up on an incline. I explained this to the kids yesterday.
There we go.
Yeah. So it goes up on an incline, which is the way
How do you
stages.
walk?
Well, ask them.
Athletes.
Yeah. Plenty of training.
Really strong cast.
In the olden days, theater first started. Stages were raked, so because the audience was flat, so you needed to see everyone on stage. That's how the terms upstage, downstage came to be. Because upstage, you go up
Right.
the rake, downstage, you're down. Now that's not really.
I'll never forget that now. Thank you. Right. No,
And at Gloucester, at Gloucester stage, we don't really. The audience is kind of the rake, and you're down. But it's really cool, and it moves around, and
That's right.
it scares me. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, what are your toes pointed down?
It's not that simple.
So does a little incline provide a big, like, you know what I mean? It may not seem like a very steep, but it has dramatic effects.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's the dramatic. And then there's also panels that move in the back. The set goes all the way to the back.
Who's the artistic director?
The artistic director, a guy named Bob Walsh.
That guy. That guy.
There's actually one additional character in the play who's Devin, our assistant stage manager.
Yeah.
He comes out and he does this wonderful job of changing the scene, moving the set around. There's a fun moment where it revolves several times while Susan is handing out pamphlets and stuff. So there's a lot of storytelling that's happening in these transitions, which also, in a lot of respects, clears the palette for the audience while we jump ahead to the next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. The one thing I will say, though, is it feels like this historical chunk of time that we've ripped out of our past, but how exactly it aligns to what's happening today is staggering. I can't tell you. It's so powerful that way.
All right, we'll
And
go
Matt
see it
is a
this week.
fantastic writer. He's really just tremendous skill set, and so the resonances of certain lines that are completely credible in the mouths of these people who lived more than 100 years ago. You know what I mean? It just rings like a bell.
So Chris Griffith is with us.
Good morning.
You are the new interim managing director,
That's correct. Yep.
and you're young.
I could be the youngest managing director in Boston. I think maybe.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's baby faced.
That's why I got the beard, right? That's good.
So what are you bringing to the table? Like, what do they see in you? This
Kind of hitting questions.
I'm gonna tell you. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna say this. I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
But I admire your video work.
Thanks. That's so sweet.
I love on the website, because I go to when the casts come in, I go to the website and I check out the little interviews and the previews, and I think they're fabulous, fantastic. You're doing great job
Thanks, man. I
marketing
appreciate
wise. Love it. In your words, like, what do you think you bring to the table?
Yeah, awesome, right? So I had this is my first year in Gloucester, right? I moved into town. I live on Sayward Street. It's awesome. I'm already in love with this place. From Indiana originally. So the first year here, we were jumping right into that, and you hit the nail on the head. More videos, right? How do we tell the stories that are happening on stage more and in a better way to get people to come? So that was our goal this year, and I think we reached that goal. And then kind of as the year started going on, Jeff was like, hey, I think I'm tired of pushing the papers and punching the calculator. I want to get back to the stage. And so I like that. I happen to love a good balanced budget. That's like what I enjoy. So, and I have a background in business. I have my MBA from Ball State University in entrepreneurship, right? And at the time, I was working at a nonprofit theater there too. So, never thought I'd go into this, but started volunteering somewhere. Really loved it, and then I was like, hey, I think I can be good at this. And so that's what I'm making my life now.
What a great story.
Yeah, that's great.
I think there's a lot of artists in this room, and anyone that considers themselves have any kind of artistic ability or even hobby, if you can make that your life's work, I think we'll all agree there's nothing better than that, right? Like I dream of one day the blog being able to be like my thing, you know what I mean, my thing or something, and it's just congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm so
not a bad place.
honored.
So wait, you were Indiana?
Yeah. So yeah.
So is this a little bit different kind of?
There's a little more ocean out here in Indiana. But oh my gosh, no! I mean, everyone's so friendly. Everyone it's the kind of like farmer mentality is so similar to fishermen in Gloucester, right? Like working hard every day, off the land, making a go at this, and so I feel right at home in Gloucester, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are passionate about what they do. They care about their families and their work, and it feels just like home.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities, fishermen and dealing with government regulations, and, all different kind of, and not all that government regulate is not all bad. I really like to take shots at the government, but like if they weren't regulating the fisheries, there wouldn't be any fish left. Believe me.
And also like the unpredictability of weather and things like that. Like it's just always trying to make a go of it, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. Well, it's nice to have you here.
Thanks, man. It's nice to be here. I mean, this stage company is it's renowned throughout a nation. I wouldn't be able to found a job here if it hadn't had a further reach than just Massachusetts. So I'm lucky to be here, and I'm excited to see where we can go in the next year.
Excellent. Patty Amaral has joined us.
Yeah,
Mado's Field.
Mado's Field, Joseph Mado's. Yes,
Who was
yes.
Joseph Mado's? Who was
One of
Joseph?
the youngest men to die in World War One. Died at 19 years old. One day after his 19th birthday. So basically he was only 18. Look at the little Portuguese boy. He's wonderful.
And they named Ball Field after him.
They named the ball field after him. They dedicated in 1935 in his name. His family. His
great
family,
photos,
mother, father,
Patty.
siblings.
And
So anyway, we did the whole field over. Light Up Mado's committee worked real hard, and everyone gave money, opened up their pockets, and just gave us money, and we wrote many grants. And
Can you
the
tell
fields we have.
the listeners where Mado's Field is?
It's on Webster Street. I don't think there's a number. It's right next to the Ward 2 school.
the bottom of Portuguese Hill,
Yeah.
going the opposite direction of Sunbank.
So we have a big day coming up October 5th. It's his 100th anniversary, and we've been working for this day, and I'm going to be so happy when it's here. It's been a lot of work, but it's going to be a real proud moment for his family. His family's coming from all over
Wow.
to be here.
Tell me
And,
about the lights.
I don't even know what the price tag is on it yet. I haven't had time to add it up, but I will one day. But lots of grants. Was $110,000 got from CPA, and then of course we had to have the ground tested twice, because first we were going to have 6 lights, and then we went down to 4 lights.
What does
So
that
there was-
mean, ground testing?
You have to have the soil tested to see what the soil substrates are. Believe me, I've learned a lot. I only played ball and cleaned the bathroom. I don't know how I got to this. I'm like, recycle, bathroom, next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're going to do this for 4 years. But, so you have to test the soils and stuff. And then we went down to 4 poles. We had to test in another area. So we had to write another grant.
So the light affects the soil?
The soil,
No, it has
the
to
poles
be
going up, they have to know
certain-
what the soils are. That that was a pond. It was called the pond. That was ice was cut from that. I just had a brain freeze there. You know the Cape Ann Pond ice.
Yeah.
Cape Pond.
So there's a lot of history. When I wrote the grants over and over, this is one of the grants. Over and over, it's just the history. Oh, here's a picture right here. Look at it. I pulled it up. Look at that. So it was a pond there. That's where people skated, and many marriages were forged there. So, yes, many. And so they were all down there skating and just having a ball, and that's what it was. And so there's just a lot of history with the field, and it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. The lights fell down Fiesta weekend 2 years ago. I think they've only canceled Fiesta twice in history. I could be wrong. Not many
the
times.
storms, yeah.
But they canceled Fiesta that Sunday, and one light came down, and I knew another one was gonna, and then another one came down with it. But funny, the one that was hanging over the school that I have in these grants all the time a picture of, that one didn't fall down.
Wow.
There was one that's like this, the pizza one. It might be in here, but it was just hanging right over the school like this for years and years. And my kid went to school there. That's where I started this whole adventure.
Oh, I see.
Started picking up litter in the playground and ended up there. So anyway, so it's a really big day. We have a flyover coming, and I just talked to the pilot yesterday. And so Flight for CF, he runs the organization, Rich Little, and he has an organization for his daughter Piper, who has cystic fibrosis. So Flight for CF, and he's coming with some friends, and they're going to fly over, and we're trying to time it perfectly for when we're putting his flag up, his 48 star flag that we're getting from Pauline's Gifts. So just a lot of people are just pitching in. My husband bought the pole. Gordon's took it, brought it here for us, so we didn't have to pay for shipping. I mean, there's so great about this is it's just like a PTO thing. When I was on the PTO at Veterans, it's little things. It's $1. Some people gave $1. Some people bought a $5 koozie. Some people did T-shirts. You know what I mean? And so everyone feels like they're involved in this field. It's not just someone wrote grants and it's over. It's not like that with this field. So we're hoping that day is going to be a really great
Okay,
day.
what is the date again?
October 5th at 4 o'clock.
October 5th at 4
and
o'clock.
and so the flyover hopefully will come when we're booing the flag. It's going to be difficult. We'll see.
Fantastic.
And then we're having our softball buddies are going to play a couple innings after. We've been having special needs kids come down.
Nice.
And we got them T-shirts. They're very happy about that. Judy Rose paid for those. And we're just very happy about the day.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there?
And Lucia was supposed to be here with me, and I was really disappointed when I walked in. I didn't see her face because I really wanted her to talk about the veterans. I think sometimes, people forget about veterans, and we have to remember that, even though they're all gone and those wars are ended,
Jason Groh has done a great job with that.
Great job.
With that,
The
portrait series where he went around and photographed the the still living World War One vets.
He did
And
I was such a
wonderful.
That movie, Wall, all those
Yeah.
things, just wonderful.
So, thank you. Is there a website that we can send people to for this event?
I
Is
see
there
the
a
Light Up Mato's committee.
Is there a Facebook page? or
Oh
anything?
yes, Light Up Mato's still. We're
Light Up
still
Mato's.
doing Light Up Mato's fan, even though
Okay.
we already have the lights up.
All right, great. Well, thank you for coming, Patty.
Thanks
I'll
for
put that
having
in the show notes. I want to get back to the play just for 1 sec about
course.
I have in the show notes there is the ability to buy there's 2 links. The first link is to the main page on the Gloucester stage, and the second link is to did Tom write the write up for the agitators?
We haven't been yet, so we'll go this week.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't
Thanks,
been
Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was in there.
Yeah.
But the videos that you
The
did.
videos
there.
are on the website.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we have that.
Yes. Yeah, the videos and the cast interviews.
Yeah,
and
so
things
far right
like
now
that.
for agitators, right, we're in the process where you have the cast interviews and we also have audience interviews, so you can see folks that have come to see the show. And kind of like we were talking about before, you'll already see that these folks are like really picking up on how this connects to what's going on right now. And so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and Frederick Douglass lived in Lynn, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Frederick Douglass lived in Lynn.
And where does the story all take place?
Several places.
Rochester, Boston, Washington D.C.
So this is interesting to me. What years is this?
What
so
years
the
does
one
it
that-
span?
1849 to
Do the math.
86, I think.
That sounds about right.
So how does a black man? See, I'm so clueless, right? As this privileged white guy living in 2018, like I wouldn't realize that a young black man could go around and hang around with Susan B. Anthony in the 1800s. Just travel. I always thought everybody, like back then, everybody was a slave.
He was a slave.
He was.
So how did you get to?
slavery.
So how? Not you, but
Like,
how did?
well,
how,
first
Start channeling him right
how
now.
does
Come on.
how does Frederick Douglass go from like Lynn to this place to that place to this place as a slave? How does
Does
that?
it have
I don't know
to
how
carry
that works out.
papers with them all the time?
While living up north, when he escaped slavery, I think it was a little bit different, especially staying in Rochester, around Quakers and around people who, I mean, up north it was a little bit more liberal, so it wasn't like the entire country, everybody had slaves or was supporting that. I was amazed to find out how many people, including Frederick Douglass, were able to have just their own autonomy, just to be able to live their lives without, I don't want to say without prejudice and terror and
Right.
you know
Right,
all
right.
that other good stuff well, bad stuff happening.
Bad stuff happening.
But it was happening, you know, and there were many other people aside from Frederick Douglass that had wives and had jobs and weren't slaves,
Right.
and their stories need to be told as well. And it's fascinating because I used to hold that same opinion. It's like, wait a minute, you know, I think 1800s everybody was a slave, you know, that's what all the country was about, and that's not true. That's simply not true. So, you know, I don't know exactly how.
Right.
You know, I mean, I know he faced some obstacles and he worked his. Bust his behind. I don't know. Can't swear.
Yeah, you can swear. You can do whatever you want. Well, trust me. He gets a lot of words. He gets a lot of words here.
You know, and he gave up a lot. He gave up a lot to be able to have the life that he did, to provide the life that he did for his children. One of his sons was a violinist. His sons they were in the war. What was it, World War II?
They were in the
54th. I'm sorry, not World War II. Thank you. 54th. You know, and so, you know, there was a lot that was accomplished by Frederick, not just for the nation and for all black people, but just for himself, you know, and his family, which I find very impactful, you know, just as a man, just going against the grain and doing what he needed to do. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys. As again, the tickets are available through Gloucester Stage, and they're linked in the show notes. Appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, the actors just left, and as they were leaving, they went down to the bottom of the stairs. I just restarted the podcast, and Kim took a bunch of photos, and she had it on auto click, so we had so many people in the room. You like to take a lot of photos because inevitably you get someone with their eyes half closed, right?
Right. It's either their eyes closed or they decide to itch their nose at that time or look away or something.
Itch their nose.
So
I
last-
saw Joe picking his nose.
Picking my nose. That happens all the time. So last night we went for dinner at Passports, and a good friend from Bishop Fenwick, Vito Mastrangelo, came into town, who will get him to move here any day now.
Yeah.
And Vito took a selfie of us and happened to catch me looking like that they would use it on if they ever wanted to use that in the future to make someone look bad, like they were totally on drugs or something. I like this. My eyes are both closed.
Right, your eyes are closed.
I posted it anyways because our good friend Vito, but if people looked at it, they'd be thinking that I'm completely whacked out. Chris,
Yes.
just got back from DC.
I did. I went and visited my son.
And I hate politics. I just can't stand the partisan things of politics nowadays and how it divides our country. But from what everybody tells me, DC is a great place to go.
It is.
Especially if you're a young person, they say it's a great town.
A lot of energy.
Great town, and a very, very expensive town.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yes.
Compared to New York? Same level?
Sure.
Yeah, at the same level. But I'm helping my son with his apartment.
Yeah.
Oh. So like I.
He'd be terrible at Gloucester Stage. Total stage fright.
So I think we were talking about how expensive DC is, but I come from a slightly different perspective because it's not just visiting there. and paying for food and hotel, but it's also helping my son pay for school, helping him pay for his apartment, helping him live down there, which I'm happy I can do.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to go visit him. This time around, they built a new casino in Maryland, just right outside of DC. MGM put a big facility there. So we went there, and I had never been there. My wife had never been there. So we went and spent about an hour or two there and had some fun. And then we went to Alexandria, Virginia, which is absolutely beautiful.
I love that city.
If you haven't been to Alexandria, it's a must visit
What is
place.
it?
when
What
you're
is
in
it kind
DC.
of like? What is it like?
Oh.
It's like
It's like
Salem.
Beacon Hill.
Yeah, Beacon Hill.
Yeah.
Beacon Hill.
Cobblestones.
Cobblestones.
Brownstones.
A lot of
Row
history there. Row housing.
Amazing restaurants.
A lot of restaurants,
High walking
shops.
score.
Yeah,
Seafood,
it's
crab,
a fun
everything's
place.
got
I wanna go
crab.
there.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Crab
And
everything.
what's nice is they just put in a new water shuttle, so you can take the water shuttle from Georgetown to Alexandria,
Oh,
and
wow.
vice versa. So,
Wow.
and that ride on a boat from the Potomac or on the Potomac
You're on the
is
river.
great.
Oh
It
my
gives
gosh.
you
Wow.
a completely different perspective of DC, to see DC from the water.
I feel like George Washington.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. And if you go a little bit further up the Potomac, you can see where his house up on the hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But what was neat, what we did for the first time, at least I did, Connor has played there before, is called Top Golf. It's a driving range.
Those are cool.
Yeah, oh my God. It was, I'm a huge golfer, so for me to be able to visit Top Golf for the first time, it's a driving range on steroids where you go, instead of going to hit balls, you can actually compete against the person you're there with, or the
Almost
group
from
you're
a
there
couple.
with.
There's like platforms.
Yeah,
How many
this
levels
one
high
had
are the
two.
platforms?
This one had two, but I think like the one in Vegas. Mike, you've been to the one in Vegas.
No, I've
haven't
been to the one in Alexandria.
Oh, in Alexandria, okay.
Atlanta has 4.
Yeah, 4. I think New York has like 4. But this was the first one ever was in Alexandria. But you get balls with a chip, and they're assigned to your name. So every time you hit one and you aim at a target, depending on where you hit the target, you get points.
Distance to the target.
You get more points the further the target is.
Oh.
So it's a really cool experience. They sell food, alcohol, which makes it a even better experience.
Much like Gloucester Stage.
Much like Gloucester Stage, yes.
They chart how your game drops off.
Yeah, oh yes, that's for sure. That's exactly what happened to my son and I. But,
Where's your son in college?
George Washington University. So he's a senior this year and working hard, and we'll be excited to see
Good luck to him
what
where
his
he-
next
yeah, where he
adventure.
goes.
He's a
what
great
his next
kid.
adventure is.
He's great to hang out with too.
Yeah.
He's like one of the guys.
Yeah, he can hang.
He can definitely hang. He can definitely hang. He's a kid. He's another reason I'm happy that the McCarthys moved here. Yeah. The only problem is my liver has totally been damaged. I said to Vito last night. So we had a reunion of sorts. Vito Mastrangelo lives in Danvers, went to Bishop Fenwick. Mike and I went for dinner, and I said to him, "It's been great. I love having Chris here in Gloucester." But it's going to be the death of me. It's going to be the death of me.
Oh yeah,
This is punishing
I'm
my
the
liver.
bad guy. Say
Punishing
hello
my
to the
liver.
bad guy.
Yeah, that's you. That is you. No
Vito would
question.
fit in well here with that last name, Mastrangelo.
He would. He would love all. He would love Cafe Sicilia
Yeah,
and
another nice
Virgilio's and
We're gonna
Sclafani's.
get more Irishmen here, like Vito.
Where does he live now?
He lives in Danvers. He lives like only a street or two away from where he grew up.
Oh, he's got to come.
He's got to come. I spent. This is not. No one really cares about this, but I know. You know how there's days in your life where you know where you were, like everybody talks about where they were when JFK was assassinated,
9/11.
and when the space shuttle kind of blew up.
Oh yeah.
I remember the place I was. I remember when Doug Flutie threw the pass to Phelan. I was with Vito on his parents' living room floor watching that game.
That is funny.
Yeah,
I was with Russ and Rob
You went to the game. You went
I
to-
was down in Orlando.
Right.
At Disney World at the Contemporary Hotel. In our hotel room.
Watching that game?
Watching that game. That was our senior trip. That was our senior
There you
trip.
go. There you go.
2 other Fenwick guys. That's funny.
Wow,
Yeah, that's
my God.
good point. Where were you, Mike?
He's probably
He was at the game.
He was fucking,
I was at the game.
he was drilling some unsuspecting girl.
You were on the
I was
team, weren't
on
you?
the sidelines. I was
You was tight end.
He was underneath the stands with the cheerleader. That's where he was. Chances are,
or
loaded.
one of the teachers.
One of the
I was playing the after party.
Yep. Probably. You know, any of these are completely not out of the realm of possibilities. Wouldn't even bat your eyelash if that truly happened. Yeah. Anyway.
Hashtag Rosecliff.
Hashtag Rosecliff. Kim, Monza Giambanco fundraiser. You were there?
Yeah, fundraiser last night. Yeah, it was incredible. There was just an incredible turnout.
Can I say one thing? I'm gonna let you speak to this, but there are certain photographs in town that are iconic photographs.
And that's one.
The photograph of Matza standing on the end of the greasy pole with his chest out, his chin up, with the flag in his hand, and he could have stood there for 2 hours if he wanted to, looking at the crowd.
Yeah.
Black and white, mounds of grease all along the track, and him just is an
Iconic.
absolute
Where is that?
iconic. I
posted it on Good Morning.
It's on the blog, but like it was always in some of the. What was it? Cafe. What was Short and Pretentious before it was Short and Pretentious? What was that? Valentino's. They had it. They had it there.
We love Short and Main.
Oh, I mean Short and Main. That's what I meant to say. I meant to say Short and Main. I'm sorry.
We love Short and Main.
No, it's great. They have excellent food. Wonderful bartenders.
It's not pretentious.
It isn't. No, not at all.
The
Of
food is
course.
so fantastic.
It's wonderful.
The food is so fantastic.
You should see with that. I've never seen such a fucking dramatic show of someone making a cocktail of the guy behind the bar at Short and Main making a cocktail. It is.
Pretty good.
There's so much body motion going into this thing that
He's a wisp of a guy, you know.
He's a wonderful guy. I'm sure he's a fantastic human being. It is just hilarious how dramatic they make the process of making a Manhattan.
We've been training them at Gloucester Stage now, so it's all part of the youth education.
They're part of
program.
the youth acting workshop.
That's
They
right.
go from there
There's a
to
bartending
making drinks.
section.
We actually had a wonderful dinner from there last night to go. It was fantastic.
Their food is amazing. It's just it's an ongoing joke. It's not a personal shot at them. Their food is fabulous.
Their food is amazing.
It really is amazing, and we're lucky to have him here.
Their oysters are good.
The oysters are great.
Especially
I love.
in the
You know,
winter.
I actually love going to that bar. You know, what, I'm gonna give them a compliment right now. I love their the sardines in the olive oil with the crusty bread. Fabulous.
Love sardines.
Going to that bar for dollar oysters and getting the bread with the sardines and having some great libations is not a bad decision.
Right. And they're one of the few places that has Lambrusco. Duckworth also has Lambrusco. I mean, I don't know what other places you can get that in town.
You know, something that I usually base my when I'm going to go for dinner is if I can get Lambrusco. That's really at the top of my list.
Have you guys had Lambrusco recently? It is so.
You turned my wife on to Lambrusco, and she.
It is not your grandfather's Lambrusco.
Reunited Lambrusco, the red
No,
wine?
it is.
Reunited on ice. That's nice.
It's
Don't
not
you remember?
Yeah.
It's not that.
Obviously, if
Remember,
you
we had it
if
yesterday.
you ever do like the three
What didn't we have yesterday?
Sturgers,
Yeah.
Sturgers.
Which are
I mean, you got 3 right here. We're gonna volunteer right now to be on stage.
If you want to have an
It's still out,
amazing
for
dinner,
sure.
you can have.
Joey's been on stage.
Is there
What's
fried
that?
chicken
Joey's been on
first?
stage.
Has he?
I'm
sorry, what?
not kidding.
I'm telling them about your theater experience. Your buddies. They didn't come to support you. I'm kind of disappointed.
I didn't live here, and I didn't get the notice.
No,
well,
you
you
didn't.
could have taken a trip
wouldn't
here.
have.
We can say
That's too
more
far.
about it.
That's
See
way too
Joey.
far.
I had the same role in this production at Gloucester Stage that I did in all of my previous theater roles in high school theater. The fucking tree. I was the fucking tree because I had a voice that I had tone deaf, cannot sing, cannot act. So they always. But I wanted to have a lot of activities for my college resume, so I did.
Yeah.
I did the theater program. Plus, there was pretty girls that did theater, right?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know, you guys. Don't you know?
Yep.
High school boys.
You got to do the theater.
If you do theater, that's where all the girls are.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
I was doing that in 6th grade, 1978, 79.
You were?
6th grade. How did that work out for you?
We did Grease.
Oh.
You were John Travolta, right?
No, we had twins. The Rizzo boys were twins, and they split the role.
The
I was
Rizzo
one of the-
boys.
I was one of the T-Birds.
Who were you? Which one?
We didn't have character names. It was mostly dancing production.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're a dancer too. Wow.
He's Renaissance man right there.
Come on.
Mike Coder # Renaissance man. Yeah, that's him.
He lives on a boat 2 months out.
Lives in a boat 2 months out of the year. If you look at his Grindr profile, he lives on a boat 2 months out of the year. Yep, that's true.
His Grindr profile.
Actually, all that stuff's fine. I'm done with all that.
For today.
Oh my God, I've heard it all. Okay, so I'm sorry. I introduced you. I'm still drunk from last night. I interrupted you, and I want you to talk about the Mazza Giambanco fundraiser.
Well, to get back to the photo, so Anthony Saputo and Safatia auctioned off 2 beautiful flags that they'd made with that iconic photo on it. So life-size photos on the flags, and Ralph Martin, who owns Preferred Auto, and Melissa Cox were the high bidders, and so they got the 2 flags. And then Maria Cracciola made an extraordinarily beautiful cake that said "F-U cancer" on it.
Is that the one that owns Cafe Sicilia?
Cafe Sicilia.
Okay.
And there was a 50-50 raffle, but it was just filled with wonderful people and all there to support Mazza, and it was
Does
just
he
a
have
great
medical
night.
issues? What is that? I don't know what it was. What was their fundraiser for?
He has cancer.
Oh,
and
I didn't
very
know.
far along with cancer.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
I honestly, geez, I have to reach out to Safati and Grace and Rosario. Sorry.
There is going to be an online fundraiser. I'm putting the post together, and Joey's going to link to it about how other ways that you can support the family. So yeah.
I donated a framed photo. I know Felicia brought some stuff.
Yeah, that's.
And a lot of people are helping out there. All right. Well, thank you for covering it for us.
Yeah, there'll be photos tonight.
Excellent. All right, we'll link to that. Can you give us a Cape Ann wildlife update?
Okay.
Oh wait, let's talk about the dead seal.
Okay.
Well, that's wildlife.
How about
right?
the dead puppies?
The dead
puppies.
seal.
So yesterday I was at the studio, and Kate for lunch, and Kate sent me a picture. She was on her walk. There was a dead baby seal
a little baby
washed up on Niles Beach.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I was having lunch with Joe Fish, and I'm like, Joe, that'll be. You know how he does the. I'm like, that would make a really cool one. Like,
So
you
you
want me
gotta
to
go
help
get
you out?
it?
We'll lug the thing up, and we'll get a little
Jesus.
imprint. But I was joking, of course.
I think it's a good thing you did.
Always an
but I don't know
entrepreneur.
if you're supposed to. I don't know if you're supposed to touch marine
No,
animals.
you're not.
You're not.
Some people would probably have a meltdown that you touched it.
But I took a photo of it. I made the second photo in black and white because there was so much blood coming out.
Oh.
Could you detect what, or what would your guess be that why that?
I have no idea, but there's 2 terrible diseases that seals are getting right now. There's been over 600 washed ashore this summer from Maine to Massachusetts, and that's a very high mortality rate.
Yeah.
I know there's a seal explosion right now, but that's very high, and they have distemper and some other virus that I don't know.
And 2 whales last week.
Couple days ago, 2 whales on one on Revere Beach. That's the same whale that was dead whale that was spotted off the coast of Gloucester, but also another new dead whale on Little Brewster Island in Boston Harbor. 2 minke whales the week before, another minke whale at Rye Beach. So it's a lot of whales washing up dead on shore in the course of a very short period of time. So
I think it's the lobsters, probably. The lobster bite.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. That's sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
But what was strange to me, so we took a ride after we left the studio. We took a ride to get to my house. We went around by Niles and Farrington Ave to get back home.
Okay.
And there was a lady. We saw the dead seal,
Right.
and there was a lady sunbathing, literally
15
Right,
feet
it's-
away.
not
Yeah.
even 50, not even 15 feet away. Like she didn't. She,
No, it was
it was
there.
It was right there. I mean,
Maybe
it was.
she was the
You
mother.
had to see
Maybe
it.
it was the
No.
It was, but it was sad because I've only ever I've seen young harbor seals, but this was really little. It was really little. It was
Yeah.
almost pure white.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
The fur on it.
Yeah, with like baby fur on it.
Yeah.
But there must have been bugs around it and
No,
stuff.
'cause
No, it was
no,
fresh. It was
fresh.
fresh.
Yeah.
It was very fresh. It
It
wasn't
had,
bloated.
and it wasn't really hot out. You know,
Yeah.
bring the fly because.
Yeah.
But it's very sad. But it's just weird that the lady was
Where's
just
the
sitting
seal
there.
Yeah,
now?
I saw that.
I mean, did anybody take the coat
It could-
off it or anything like
It
that?
could, it could still
Stop
be
it!
there.
Stop it!
It could
Stop
still be
it.
there.
Could have made some nice shoes for Joe.
See, this is there are distinct generational differences. So the class of 1985 Bishop Fenwick, like if we went to if you put our brains into a high school student, they wouldn't last a day with how sensitive the kids are today, right? Like the shit that we make fun of, like the fucking horrified these kids would be. Like the stuff that, like, you know, from the way.
I agree.
We wouldn't survive. We would be like, you know, if you did one of those shows where you know, like swap.
Yeah, think
We
of
get a
good
lobotomy.
play.
You would
lobotomies
adapt.
us.
You would adapt.
I don't know.
Is there a good play?
Sink or swim.
We should.
That would be a
we
good
should
play.
Right.
Who wants to write that play?
Yeah.
Laurel, come on.
Yeah, Laurel. Well, it is, yeah, in the children's level.
Hey, maybe next year you guys could submit a play to the Young Playwrights Festival.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
It wouldn't be
sometimes it's
appropriate
not
for young
years.
playwrights. Hey, there she is, Miss America.
What's going on? Good to see you.
Kate
I missed
showed
a
up.
good night last night. You are. Come. Oh.
Yeah. So, Kate, how are you, honey? Talk about the seal. How close to that
Yeah.
lady that was sunbathing close to the seal? How far would you say she was? 10 feet?
10 feet.
Oh,
10 feet away. It's just so strange.
Does she notice it, I wonder?
Well,
She
it
couldn't
really-
have missed it.
It really blended in with the sand. It
I
really
thought it was
did.
like, you know, sometimes bags will.
Yeah.
I thought it was that person, but you could see the tail.
Yeah. It was a very young one. It was surely.
She also sent me a picture of a dead crow, and she asked me to go get it with a shovel, bring it back to the house, and string it up so maybe it'll scare the other crows
I
away.
hate them. It's still there.
That would scare them
I
away.
can.
That would scare them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It truly would scare
Kate.
them
You
away.
should get a scarecrow.
Happy wife.
Yeah, skip it. Yeah,
Is there? Oh, really?
Joe.
Hey now.
Put the podcast on pause.
yeah.
30
30
seconds.
30 second pause.
Grab the microwave popcorn.
Oh, my Lord. Such terrible
Do
people.
you
Check,
wanna-
please.
do you-
Check.
Do you want to finish wildlife?
Oh, I'm so
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
So the monarch migration has not really started kicking up yet, but the cormorants are massing in really huge numbers, and you saw some as well, right? Like they,
Yes, I know. I didn't see the cormorants as much as I saw what you're going to describe this, but I saw right at, when you're coming down 128 to the first rotary, a ton of herons.
herons,
Yeah, the
right?
herons are
Yeah, so
everywhere.
the
Right over by your house.
The cormorants are fishing for the schools of fish. So they start to mass, and then they push all the schools of fish closer to the shore, and the herons and the egrets are all waiting on shore to eat the fish. So it's this wonderful.
Plus the
It's-
dogs.
It's symbiotic, not for the. It's not really an example of symbiosis, but it's really. It's because
Ends
it's
up
pretty
being.
Yeah, because it ends up being for the herons. So.
Yeah, I caught it
Yeah.
one morning on Mill River. It was like insane.
Yes, that's
Crazy.
they're going up they're going. You can see it in like 20 different vantage points all up the Annisquam River. They come in over, they fly over the boulevard early in the morning, and then they just go straight up the Annisquam, and so you can, little clusters of this going on. It's really mad to watch because there's like there's a couple of thousand cormorants,
Yeah.
and it's this huge flourish.
It would be
going
really
on,
cool
so-
if someone had a drone overhead
Yeah,
of that. That would be amazing
That would
footage.
be amazing.
Yeah,
But, so do you want me to talk about the BBC interview?
I would love to hear that.
BBC.
Yeah. So.
Yes, Kim, big news, big,
Yeah.
big.
So the BBC contacted me about a month ago about the monarch migration through New England, and first they just wanted help writing the story, and then they
The reason they've contacted Kim, by the way, is because she's the foremost authoritative person on monarchs,
Monarch butterflies.
monarch butterflies. Yeah, because there's other people that claim to be that they put doctor in front of their name all the time, but Kim, they steal all her research and ideas. Go ahead.
No, not really.
Go.
So they saw my trailer That's why they contacted me for my film.
Because you're the foremost authoritative.
So anyway, so then they
See, she didn't deny it.
Right, so
Did
then-
you notice that?
I'm not the foremost authority. No, I'm totally not. There's people all over the country who are doing this.
You're just being modest. Go.
Yeah. So, anyways, they first wanted to lease the footage, and then they asked me to interview for the show. So we had a day filming of. It took about 8 hours, and they have this show called Autumn Watch, Spring Watch, and they've been producing it since 2005. But it primarily only plays in the UK. They only film it usually in England, and then it plays all over the world. But now this is the first time that they've ever filmed it in the U.S. So it's going to be called Autumn Watch New England, and it chronicles a whole bunch of stories that are taking place. And there's like moose with Lyme disease and things like that. So they wanted to do monarch butterflies on Cape Ann because they saw the trailer. So it's really great for Cape Ann because they took beautiful footage.
Does this tie into your movie?
Yeah, because they're leasing a whole pile of footage from me too. That's what I'm supposed to be doing right now, is going through hours and hours of footage to send them. But it's going to be great for my movie. It's going to be awesome. Really
This is
awesome.
why finally you're going to get the recognition you deserve as the foremost authoritative
And
monarch
that
butterfly.
isn't true, but
Congratulations.
there are a lot of like I said, there's a lot of people all around the country.
There's a lot of secondary people. There's only one
Well,
Kim
that's-
Smith.
when she's on the BBC, the slug underneath her will say foremost authority on monarch
That's right.
butterflies
There you
in the
go.
world.
It shouldn't say that.
It should. Absolutely should. All right, let me just see. Oh, wait, one second. I think we got everything in here.
Her
Uh,
pace,
go-
her pace.
What?
Kate's pace. She's going to be off her pace if she doesn't get
Connor's
back.
got a football game.
Oh, yeah, it's football season.
Go see the agitators.
Yes, Young Playwrights Festival, Tuesday, September 25th. Tuesday night, 7:30. 7 new plays by young playwrights ranging in age from, how old, Laurel?
9 is our youngest, 17 is our oldest.
Excellent.
And
Anybody that we know?
And also,
yeah, Nate Oakes wrote a play.
Nate Oakes, Kate.
NATO.
Those
Nate
are our
Oakes
people. Those are our people.
Wrote a play. Colby Taramina wrote a play. Lenny Taramina
Yeah, of course,
from
yeah.
his son. Colby wrote a play based on his personal experience. And we have 2, Paul Melendi, the naked guy.
Yeah.
From Bernie and Phil's. He will not be naked. He'll be clothed. And
thankfully.
this year we are incorporating some professional actors in. And so Colby Taramina, senior in high school, been with me since 4th grade. His play is going to feature Paul Melendi, who was in Cyrano, and Dossie Peabody, professional actress, who basically portrayed some of the most iconic characters in Gloucester stage history. And she was on the board, and they will both be in Colby's play.
We even got a kid from England to write a play.
Yes, a girl from England submitted a play. She lives just outside Gloucester, England. So now we're international.
International, baby.
So there's a post going up tonight, and you can link to that.
Okay, we'll have a link to that in the show notes. Thanks.
Also, September 30th, we have a special one night only, Never Dark program, and it's called Hold These Truths. It's about the Japanese internment during World War II.
Oh.
7:30.
Hold these truths. All right.
Cool.
Thank you guys for coming. As always,
Thank you.
an hour and 24 minutes. Boom. Chakalaka. Have a great day, everybody.